Welcome to House of Bakshi, the podcast where we delve into the world of luxury and fashion e-commerce, uncovering the strategies and stories that drive success. I'm your host, Habib Bakshi, CEO and founder of Sky Diamond Elite. In each episode, I'll share insights, news, industry-wide challenges, and proven solutions. We will also have the privilege of sitting down with titans in fashion and luxury e-commerce to learn from the best and discover what sets luxury, fashion, and lifestyle DTC brands apart. Whether you're a marketer, a brand owner, or simply someone passionate about fashion, this podcast is going to be your backstage pass to the world of luxury e-commerce. Andrew.
Yes.
You've been jet setting the world. Last year has been insane. Just give me a short form of what are the most interesting places you've visited in the last year.
I'm going to have to give the props to the new Sin City of America, Miami Beach.
Miami Beach.
Yes.
So that was a loaded question because I knew it was going to be Miami.
Yes, but I've also been in, everywhere where the jet setters jet to.
Aspen,
Los Angeles, Miami,
you live there.
and New York where I live.
That's your hometown.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's nice having a home base.
Yeah. And
with a Chanel store down the street.
Obviously. Very on brand, as you would say, for me, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Authentic.
Look, I think this is super special to be doing this with you. Thank you for penciling me in between Colombia and LA.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have an open schedule these days, but it's filling up fast.
I feel great. Yeah. That I'm the precursor to Colombia. So, because if I was after Colombia, that would be disappointing.
I would have a lot more stories.
You would have let's to keep it on brand. I think it's good that you're doing Colombia after this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, you're really an anomaly, man. So I've known you for, I think.
Give me an introduction first.
I'm getting there. I've known you for 8 years, and it has been nothing short of fun, interesting, a learning experience. I've seen you be a mentor, a brand builder, a manager, and you've done it in your own style, which is super unique, super cool. Andrew Gifford, for those you don't know listening today, is the former CMO of Naked Cashmere, a premier luxury DTC cashmere brand. Andrew has done, crazy creative, fun shoots, designs, creative direction, you name it. Andrew, It is so cool to kind of be sitting here with you, and I had again the last 48 hours to kind of like observe how you think about brands, like walking around downtown, going into vintage stores, just like shooting the shit, eating some sushi or oysters, and the way your mind works is something that I want on display today. To like let the audience kind of understand this is a creative process that takes not just years of mastery, but you got to really experience brand firsthand to understand what works. If you could, in a synopsis, short form, what makes this part of what you do so special?
I'm able to look through the business through a lens that which a lot of other people aren't able to look through. If that makes any sense, part of the reason why our business was so successful with Naked Cashmere and 360 Cashmere is because the founders, my parents, and other executives in the organization were able to see the business and life through my eyes, and were able to build a brand around what was happening, what is currently happening, and what was going to be happening.
So
And I think that's very important.
So when we're chilling on the couch and you pull up, you sit next to me, you're like, Habib, look, I'm working on this latest project. Here's a mood board, and my jaw is like on the fucking ground, right? I got to like scoop it back up because I'm like, how do you utilize 10 minutes of time? I mean, it looked like you spent hours, but
Right.
I know I saw you, working on this thing. I mean, for anybody else, it looks like that. What you curated and showed to me was like days and days and days of research and putting it together. I'm trying to get you to really explain, how do you understand luxury or brand to the level where, you're working on a project, which I know is a little bit of, there's confidentiality there, kind of, could be the next phase of your life. What goes through your head when you're putting that together and saying, hey, Habib, look, this is what luxury is for, can I say athleisure? Maybe?
No, not yet.
Maybe. Okay.
Not yet.
We'll
not yet. Not yet. Got to edit that part out.
But luxury for whatever you're doing. Right.
Yeah. So it's really, like I said before, it's like putting on sunglasses or giving an old person reading glasses. It's allowing you to see the world through a different lens. And, with my experience and the people that, mentored me and my experience building and working with luxury brands, I'm able to take the stuff that I've learned and the stuff that they've learned and kind of merge it together with what's happening today, current time, what are the trends, and kind of, merging those two worlds together. And that's where kind of like the magic potion with Naked Cashmere was created, was I was able, we've all been everyone who was part of the company and the people that we worked with were all students of fashion photography. And, back in the day, before social media, and why brands spent so much money on campaigns, it was because, up until 15 to 20 years ago, a single image defined a brand.
Right.
And that's what people don't really understand about, the quality, the intersection between quality and quantity. Back in the day, brands would spend $1 million to create a couple of images that would then define their brand, relaunch their brand. And that's why you see these major brands that did 180 turns and came out of bankruptcy just by doing a photo shoot with, Peter Lindbergh and Kate Moss.
Right. Which we did.
Which is exactly was part of the success.
Yeah.
But yeah, and really where I sat is, I grew up idolizing, all of the big brands and what made them so cool. And if you look at the brands like Abercrombie and Fitch or David Yurman or Stuart Weitzman, you don't remember their product, but you remember their imagery.
Right.
That imagery was photographed through the lens of the best photographers in the world, with Bruce Weber with Abercrombie and Fitch and Mario Testino for Stuart Weitzman. So growing up, I had always believed in images shaping brands and always admired how an image could, shape a brand and, tell a compelling story.
Look, I've been a fly on the wall, when you're having these discussions, during the inception of Naked. I think the audience would want to know, right? Like, what is that conversation like to talk about having the most iconic fashion photographer, Peter Lindbergh, right? And Kate Moss, the most iconic fashion icon, as the brand staple for Naked. Like, what is that like? What's that? I mean, I've heard a little bit of bits and pieces. Can you take us a little deeper into?
Yeah. So when we were launching the brand, we'd been connected with an art director, David Littman, who really pioneered fashion advertising in like the late 90s and early 2000s. And my family collects a lot of fashion photography. So through an agency, we were connected through him. And, we'd made the decision to go direct to consumer from Naked Cashmere. And we knew that we needed to invest a lot of our money out of the gates into brand. And all of us being, like fans of, top models and photographers, this is something that we collectively like wanted to do, not necessarily because it was going to be good for brand, but also because, we wanted to check that life box of an accomplishment that we all got to check off the box and have the experience of,
right.
Of course, I've gotten to work with all of the top photographers and models in the world, but not that level.
It's insane.
Being on set and seeing, these legends work together and the chemistry that they have on set, and you see what goes into a picture that, in 20 years could hang in a museum one day for 7 figures. So it was a really cool experience. It was very expensive.
I bet.
And it depends how you look at it, whether it was
heuristically
from a return on investment.
Hot.
It was good, but from a if you were looking analytically, it was not.
Right. But I think if you did use the quantitative metrics into the future, right, and you saw, hey, we're going to launch this thing with the most iconic photographer and the most iconic fashion model,
right,
that it pays off in spades.
That's the problem with people today, is that they want numbers to dictate the way they think,
right,
and it should be the other way around,
right,
the way that you should.
Brand is qualitative.
Exactly. So,
brand is qualitative. And that's where we came in, right, for you, was the performance marketing side of, hey, we've built this qualitative, amazing machine.
Right.
And now make it work, make money out of it, and plug the quantitative pieces into the performance marketing, because brand is key.
Right. It's everything.
It's everything.
It's everything. You'll dilute your vision within an hour trying to,
So what was that? Okay. So what was that decision like? Like, were you in a room with like Bruce and
No, we actually.
Were you like, hey, Kate Moss? Were you going through a bunch of models and then Peter Lindbergh? Like,
no,
what was that?
No, I know we had made the decision that we wanted to work with Peter Lindbergh, and there were, a handful of.
Is that like a phone call? You just like, hey, Peter.
Oh, David Littman was our agency on record, Littman Studio, and he's had, relationships with all of the photographers and models. And we had decided that we're going to go with Peter Lindbergh, and we had a list of models that we were going after. And, one of them, ranged from Cara Delevingne to Gigi Hadid, to Bella Hadid, to Kai Gerber. And there were like scheduling conflicts. And then once Kate Moss found out that we were shooting with David and Peter, she was like, I want to do this shoot. And they're the kind of the trio that built David Yurman.
Wow. I mean, it's really mind-blowing to kind of unpack that and see what you did with using that launching point as cool. This, like,
and I'll never forget, after it happened, I was 30 years old, and like my life is always broken down into like 5 years of these like huge milestones,
these increments.
It's crazy, like every 5. So I remember sitting in London.
Wait, where are we at this point?
36.
What was your 5-year anniversary of crazy? Must have been last year.
Yeah, when you sale of the company. Yeah. So it's all kind of follows the year of the tiger. Yeah, etc. But which I am. Anyways, but yes, I remember after that shoot, I'll never forget. And this is like advice to any entrepreneur, person that's starting, their own business or working on anything. It's like, I'll never forget, like, thinking that I was on top of the mountain after that shoot, and like envisioning my life of every other week working with another A-list photographer, models traveling over the world, and then the lights turned on to the business, and all of these things went wrong. I had to pivot so many of like our channels that we were spending money on, and like, it was a quick reality check that I was actually at the bottom of the mountain, not on the top of the mountain. And I think that's very important.
You were building the infrastructure of the mountain.
Right.
You were putting the puzzle pieces together to understand what is brand, and now what do I need to layer on top of that?
Right. but we wanted to make a lot of noise, and we wanted to create images that would shape the brand. And we wanted, there were positive and negatives. And today's landscape is like completely different. Brands have to look at content through a different lens. And, a lot of old school people will disagree with me and don't want to accept the fact that major campaigns, you don't really have to do them anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can take a picture of you with my phone. Back in the day, you were, doing rich media and uploading pictures onto your website and printing images to put in a catalog, or printing images on a 400-foot billboard. You would need a big enough camera that could capture that amount of information you can have it.
Now
today I can take a picture.
There's this puppy right here.
Yeah, I can take a picture of the iPhone 4 and blow it up to 400 feet. Are you going to get great makeup and good lighting? No, but you have the access to do it. So, I think brands are really they have to be smart now and really like understand, with a big shoot, you're not getting a lot of content.
Right.
You're getting, 18 to 20 pictures if you're lucky a day.
Right.
Now, you can orchestrate a production where you're getting thousands of pictures and hundreds of videos.
So do you think that dilutes brand, or it just makes it easier to go to market with?
Yeah, it dilutes brand.
It dilutes
brand. But, but it's something that, they have to take into consideration. And one of the big things that, a lot of brands won't understand, especially luxury brands, is now you have to be everywhere. You can't just be on a billboard or your website. You have to be on social media. You have to make, and you have to make content that you want to make content that people are engaging with. If you're investing in content, you're looking for an ROI on that investment.
Right.
So you're going to want to make the content that's converting at its highest ratio.
Yeah.
And that may not be a $400,000 commercial with a top model. That may just be one of your customers trying your sweater on and doing a twirl in front of the camera.
So,
and that's what the gray area between content and brand is. What type of content you're making and how you're distributing.
So, and I talk about this a lot, which is, the data and the analytics and the quantitative stuff shows one picture, right? And Angie may know this, right? Your former president of e-com.
Right.
We'd call her up, or Jacob would call her up and say, hey, guess what? This particular SKU or this particular product, we need to do more of this next year, next season. And then I get a call from either you or your dad saying, hey, look, that's not going to be in style, or that's trending out, even if the data is showing something really hot.
Right.
Like how important is it to understand trend, and how, I know it's important, but like, how do you do it? You particularly have kind of this insane ability to just, I don't want to diminish it by say predict, but whatever you do in your brain, you kind of figure out what's the next fucking move.
Right.
And I always remember those calls. Hey, Habib, we're going to do black cashmere. We're going to do this kind of photo shoot. I'm going to shoot in the Hamptons here. Like, there's always a pulse on trend, but
it's everything is happening. Yeah. So everything is happening in real time. And the cool thing with e-commerce and digital marketing is that it's no bullshit. So you're able to see what is working and what is not working. So you're able to kind of realign yourselves and your marketing towards that. So, for a long time, we invested a lot of money into the catalog business.
Right.
And
holy shit, was that successful?
It was successful, and it came randomly. I met someone that was doing it, and they told me how enjoyable the experience was working with their partners. And originally I didn't want to do it because I was all digital, and it ended up being a great experience, and I loved the whole process of doing it. But we were doing it at a time where no one was in the mailbox anymore. So It wasn't saturated. So, you were getting, maybe 6 to 8 catalogs a week. Now that same customer is getting 6 to 8 catalogs a day. And then the more people that go into the paper go up. So I'm getting that information in real time with my vendors saying, like, hey, your ROI is going down. Everyone's going back into the catalog business. So I have to make a decision where to put that allocation. Like, I can't just shut off that marketing channel or else I'm going to lose money. I have to reallocate that budget into another channel, which was CTV.
Right.
When I left.
Right.
Which ended up being a lot of fun for me and us and creating the content, but also, I saw a lot of people quit, canceling their subscription services
Right.
with their TV providers. And we saw a lot of just interest in people, not necessarily shopping from their streaming services, but they're not turning on DirecTV anymore. They're going on and using Netflix or YouTube or Amazon Prime.
So here's what's interesting to me, though. So as that performance marketing agency that's in the background, helping you kind of make these different moves and fill that quantitative gap in how you make decisions for the brand. Like, what was your formula? You're like, okay,
I'll tell you the formula.
I'm getting
and people are going to disagree with me, but I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. So I was able to really just take a bunch of darts and throw them at a target, and I would see which darts hit the bullseye.
But you threw loaded darts, because I know the conversations that you were having with Angie and then they were having with the Sky Diamond team. These darts had data, metrics, like all this really smart shit in every dart that you
right. But I'm going to use I'll use affiliate marketing as an example. Like I never really understood affiliate marketing or how it worked because I wasn't a customer for it, and I always try and put myself in the customer's shoes.
Yeah.
And I participated in the rewards programs that websites offer. It wasn't the way I shopped, but I certainly knew that people were shopping like that. So
it's like back in the radio day. If you'd buy media, but why are we buying media on country music? I don't listen to it.
Right. So we see something that's working, and we invest in it. We try and then we go to you and optimize the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And bring in experts in it, and then try and find the next one. And that's what you got to do these days because things change rapidly.
Yes. Is Austin on brand for you personally, or is it Miami? Have we given? I'm going to pivot a little bit here. I saw you pop the beer. So
pop the beer.
Let's try the beer.
Listen, I don't know. I've been in New York for 15 years, and I can certainly check that box. I stayed there a lot longer than any other transplant from LA. I think I'll always have a place there. But at the same time, I kind of want to, spread the wings a little and, open myself up to endless possibilities.
Particularly why I ask you is because you're a creative mind. And so when I work with a lot of creatives, right? 50% logic, 50% creative, and you're heavy on the creative side. Does your environment affect how you think and understand and digest like brand and next step and trends?
Especially when you're in a position like mine where I have to be somewhere where I'm like eating, living, and breathing, culture. Right?
Let's be honest.
I have to be in cultural hubs to.
When you felt and looked at Naked, it was very New York, but also LA, and it was really a nice intersection
because I knew who my customers were. So the great thing about me living in New York is I was able to have it's having your finger on the pulse, right?
Right.
And you want to understand, culturally what's happening.
Right.
The big, which is why, I brought you to the stores on Saturday.
Yeah.
A big advantage.
And that was fucking awesome, by the way.
A big advantage of living in Soho in New York is that I'm in the stores every single day.
By the way, he gave me a tour of my own fucking city.
So
through Andrew's lens, which is really interesting, right?
But, especially we're going today, I wanted to walk into the store. So when I'm in New York, I'm in the stores every single day. I'm seeing what's happening, what people are shopping for, what stores are busy, what stores are not busy, what brands are not on sale. You can't do that in LA.
Right.
You can't do that in a lot of places. And that's a very important piece to have in your brain, just to understand what's happening. And regardless of where I'm at in my life, if I continue to go on the same career trajectory, like I need to be in a place where I can observe what's happening culturally.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Miami so much, is because, you know, it's the cultural fucking focal point of America right now. There's nowhere like
It's
it in
an
the world.
intersection of everything. It's the mini Dubai. I think you called it that.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
it's the mini United States Dubai.
you know, people always complained about, you know, the people in Miami and it being trashy, but it got all the New Yorkers in Miami. So now all the New Yorkers are living in Miami, and, you know, it's a cool place to live. LA, on the other hand, I do not like. But I'm not going to go into negativity or why I do not like LA.
Let's stay off the fashion capital's ass.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's, you know, super important. And that goes to, you know, for any places. And, you know, there are cultural hubs and those hubs change, but the people around those hubs do not change.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that in Europe right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are moving to Italy.
Yeah.
You know, especially like Milan. You know, it has always been a, you know, fashion destination, but now it's really becoming, you know, the capital of European fashion and commerce.
When you look at the influence of geography and the vibe, if per se, whatever you want to call it, that you kind of adopt into how you're thinking about trend and what's happening, what would you like? Would you say there was any kind of mentorship behind helping you think that way? Or is this something you were born with? Is this what you just have a very unique perspective on firing at 100%? Yeah, I mean,
right,
there's probably a time where you were firing at 30, right? And
but
40
I did
and
it to,
50.
you know, because, you know, I used it to fuel my lifestyle. So I brought my lifestyle. You know, a lot of people build their careers and find their passions.
I'm sitting right in front of you.
Right. But it's different. I mean, a lot of people, you know, want a boring job and want to clock in and clock out. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
But, you know, I built my career on like eating, living, and breathing, you know, building something, regardless of
fashion.
Success or not. Fashion I've had, but, you know, that's what I loved and what I missed the most when it was, you know, when I sold it. So, but I was able to do that because, you know, I integrated my lifestyle into the brand, and, you know, who doesn't want to be a luxury customer?
So, right. And so was there anybody that you looked up to in that, or a mentor? It doesn't, not even mentorship, but it was somebody that you were like, you know, this is kind of the lens that, you know, I've learned through look through, or was it something that it was a manifestation of just being exposed?
It was kind of like a manifestation, really. You know, obviously, I have to, you know, we worked with great agencies.
It was probably taking from great photographers, great agencies, great whatever.
But using their ammo and my guns. Right?
Yeah, I like
there's
that.
not, you know, and that was what kind of made us really special. And what I found my niche in is really kind of combining those two worlds. Like, yeah, I'm not, you know, I want to bring high fashion and really great fashion photography, but I want to, you know, update it and bring the sophistication that had into the lens of today's customer and what's going on. And not a lot of people do that.
No, well, they don't do a lot of things. And
it's hard because, you know, a luxury brand, right? You talk about a luxury brand it's very hard to just launch a luxury brand, because luxury brand are built off of compelling stories.
Yeah.
You look at all the big luxury brands, they all have, you know, very rich histories and legacies. You know, it's very hard to just flip on the lights and start a luxury brand.
And what would be, for everyone listening,
so
what's the key advice for that? Like, you know, coming from the guy who understands brand, who knows brand, right? And just to give more context, like Naked is the third iteration. There was Skull Cashmere, and you did a lot of wholesale with Skull, and
360
there was 360 sweater. Naked's the third iteration, again, of being that, hey, we're going to do DTC luxury. So, like,
there are a lot of things that you just have to take from these brands, right? So you have to look what's on your vision board. What are these brands doing that you can apply to your own brand? You're not going to be a luxury brand. You can't come up with a bullshit luxury, compelling brand story, but you can take a lot of what these brands do, incorporate them into your own, and kind of smoke and mirror the experience. But it comes down to a couple of things. One is you really want like a compelling brand story, right? You want what that means is that there's meaning behind the products that you're selling. So when someone is shopping,
and I personally know you guys gave such a shit about quality. I
Right.
mean, it was about quality first, and then the cycle was like, hey, this really has to embody lifestyle.
Right. And then another thing that you had to balance was, exclusivity. So really balancing the accessibility of your products, right? And especially, I mean, right now you need to be accessible, but what makes luxury brands sought after is that they're hard to get. They could be exclusive to certain cities, have artificial scarcity, only manufactured in limited runs. There's that built anticipation for the next drop or the next collection, and that's something that luxury brands have done really well. What can you do to kind of copy it, right? Which is called artificial scarcity.
Right.
And that,
bullshit scarcity.
So there's that. Yeah. And, there's also, there's.
So are there any brands that are like bullshit scarcity that you know of?
Of course. Look at it's streetwear.
Okay. Let's be real. So streetwear, what would you say? Like 90% of that is bullshit scarcity?
Of course, but it's not bullshit though.
How's it not bullshit? Can I say Supreme?
Yeah, but these are all great brands.
Is Supreme bullshit scarcity, Andrew?
You're limiting something artificially. You're not making right. So Virgil did a great job at building artificial scarcity.
But Virgil's talent, again, as a designer, there's scarcity in just that. Like, everyone wants his shit. Right. He touches it, it's gold.
Well, the way that he started was a streetwear brand. He was just printing on T-shirts and selling limited quantities of them.
He was selling fucking art, creativity.
I mean, he's a great guy. I loved him. But it's just, every brand wants that. But can you create a story behind that where people are compelled to buy it? Like, you can only make 100 pieces. What if you only sell 5 of them? Then your plan really didn't work.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's like, okay, well, how can we create this? Yeah, these brands demand that. Chanel could come out with a bag, then they only make 200 of them. Of course, it's going to create demand.
Okay, so that's Chanel. So what if we wanted to, somebody out there wants to create a luxury brand tomorrow? What are the top 3 things that they should focus on?
Okay, so, well, one is product. Right?
Yes.
Which goes against my other thing, but yes. At the end of the day, product is very important because you can, at the end of the person buying your brand will, if they fall in love with the product, they don't care what your brand is or who you stand for or what image you're making. They're going to keep buying your brand because they're obsessed with the product.
Yeah.
I love my underwear.
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
My underwear brand is great.
Underwear is important, by the way. It's essential.
My spending habits on this brand would not change if the story changed because I love the product. So that's really good. And I'm a big thing in like timeless classics. So, having a low and high ticket offer is a great way for a brand to go, you want to introduce your brand to a mass audience and then layer in your merchandising higher ticket groups or articles of clothing, etc. Just so that, you've educated them. Now you can nurture them. And then, what else? I think, really like the experience from a customer perspective. And that's what brands today have to understand is that they expect a luxury experience from A to Z. So you need to polish every single part of that customer journey, from prospecting to retargeting
Right.
to, after they purchase.
All the shit that you hired us to do.
Exactly. But yeah, it's very important. What are luxury brand has free shipping. You have to have free shipping. You have to have
totally
free returns.
That was a great, you kind of tossed the ball to me, but I'll take it. No, that was really fun, right? So for everyone that doesn't know, Naked and Andrew, they were one of our first relationships into working with DTC luxury brands. And, Bruce and Andrew kind of gave us our first shot into, performance marketing for this niche. And I just want to call it out here. Thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you showed up to one of our brand launch parties, and that
was in a Lamborghini dealership.
Yes, thank you.
Very on brand. You understand brand.
Very on brand. I do. And that's why we get along, right? I understand your pains too. Thank you for that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I don't. One thing that luxury struggles to understand even today is that there is still a methodology, whether it's loud or quiet, behind performance marketing. We walked into a very, very premium leather store, starts with an H, right? And I said, hey. Hermes. And I was like, Andrew, there's some courting going on here, but this is quiet, and we got to keep it quiet, but it's still performance marketing that has to happen behind this brand.
Well, I think a lot of what happens is...
But it's just different. It's like,
I'm going to say a big word.
Okay.
That can be applied to a lot of different conversations. Ego.
Yes.
A lot of brands don't want to touch performance marketing because they don't think they need performance marketing.
Yeah.
And I think that's, ego will shrink your pockets and it'll stab you in the back. It's just like, and it's just the same as it's like walking over, not wanting to pick up a $20 bill just because it's on the floor. Well, it's like, dude, it still has value.
100%. And that's a great analogy.
And, I think that, I know a lot of brands, those of which I'm not going to say, that are like, dude, I'm not doing performance marketing. I don't need performance marketing. It's like, okay, well, other people are.
And the other thing that most brands don't understand, that when you're working on conversion, that's performance marketing.
Right.
Yeah. Just because, getting someone to have a better customer journey, that's performance marketing. Getting someone to understand your brand through social, that's performance marketing.
Right. It's not, it doesn't have to be tied to search or Google shopping or this, but if you're having an online brand and are not familiar with performance marketing or how you can use it, you're really doing your brand a disservice, and 100%. You're losing a lot of money.
Andrew, you sold Naked Cashmere, and I talked to you a little bit about this. If I sold Sky Diamond tomorrow, I would be in a bit of an identity crisis, right? My self-worth, a lot of my ego, it's a lot of pain. I built this thing from the bottom up. Exits sound glamorous, right? And, I think a lot
I wish I had more than them. I could get better.
No. Exits sound glamorous. It's like, what were some of the personal challenges, right, that you went through after this exit? Because this is something I saw you build. And when I said you were a mentor, you were a manager, you were a creator, like, you did so much of touching this thing that I know when I would watch your Instagram and you're like filming the Aspen billboard in the airport, and then you turn the camera to yourself. I mean, it was a fucking grin that I would never forget.
Yeah, man, it was the journey, right? So people say the journey is a lot better than the destination, but the fact of the matter is it was a really hectic transition. Like, it was not easy. Made you question, it's definitely my identity for the last 15 years have been cashmere this, cashmere that.
15 years. How do you handle as a creative like yourself? Like
I lost my mind. Like
you lost your mind.
Yeah, I'm prone to, I have anxiety and depression. Like I fully like had a full on identity crisis and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Entrepreneurs do. They just don't talk about it. And I think,
but and it's bittersweet because I can bitch and moan about stuff and people can judge me on. And that's what sucks is like, I'm like, oh, you just sold your company. Like, why are you upset? Or why are you going to do this?
That's the outward optics. And but
it's different for anybody. And,
I've been dying to ask you this question, right? Is because like people need to know that it's not all flowers and sunshine because the money doesn't solve those problems.
Right.
Especially at a young age like yours,
They solve some problems. But yeah,
yeah.
But there's
it solves the fun problems, but
there's a lot of things that, came, that I had trouble dealing with, in terms of your self-identity and, but I feel like, gratitude is really kind of like was a good
100%
characteristic that I had to embrace and learn throughout all of this. And, it's hard, you can only live your life and how you're dealt it. So it's weird because, I talked to other people who had been in better or worse situations that have gone through, similar things. And it's kind of just, something, but.
So what are some of the tools that you get from that whole experience that like kind of equip you to work harder and like work smarter and, help you identify the next thing that you're going to do? Because I know phone calls, right? There was a lot of brainstorming, a lot of ideating, a lot of like, hey, as you consulted with me, it's like, how do we rank these opportunities of what are you going to do?
Yeah. So, you really got to just, I'm losing my train of thought actually. Or what did you say?
How do you kind of rank, right? Like these opportunities as you're thinking about your next phase? And, I was
really
thinking, what are the tools that you took from that whole experience to kind of help you through this journey?
Well, it was the experience after.
Right.
Okay. And that's the kind of like but like you got, one thing that was super important to me was like, okay, I have like a little grace period between the next chapter. What can I do like personally for myself that will make me a better person, operator, marketer, friend, boyfriend, etc.
Yeah.
What can I do? And that's like kind of what I decided to focus on was like, becoming healthier, going to therapy.
What I noticed is you started being a lot more kind to yourself, right? I think there's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
After that, it's like, man, you built Naked Cashmere. Our expectation is you're going to build the next
exactly, but that's
ship.
Something that also can haunt you because all of a sudden
the expectation is like Elon Musk. You built PayPal, bro.
Yeah, it's like
what are you going to build next?
I've never really failed.
Yeah. So we're like, I don't want. By the way, we're waiting for what you're going to build here.
It's coming. It's coming. But I'm at first I was really nervous about picking and choosing what I want to get into and. Part of that big, thing is that, I've really never failed before. And I've had some ups and downs, but, I've generally, had a pretty good win streak. So I don't want to lose this next time. And, I don't want to embarrass like friends or family or like come up short. So like, during this time, I decided to like, I'm going to like cut some slack to myself and focus on like my health and my relationships and like being just like a way better person. And then I felt better. And then, the one lesson I did learn though is that, obviously dealing with like, an ego was the hardest thing to deal with. And thank God that, I've eliminated that, but that'll fucking kill you.
Again,
and that'll kill businesses.
But identity tied to fueling that ego. And are you saying like the ego?
Just in general, like it's such a bad...
Took a blow? Like you felt like, holy shit.
Yeah. Ego took a huge blow. And, but it like, I learned that like, I don't want an ego and I don't want to deal with people with an ego. And then I look back on like experiences and past relationships and things that I've ruined it. And it all came down to ego. You know what? I'm not going to have an ego.
I love that.
In the next chapter. I'll be confident, but I'm not going to have an ego.
You're going to be convinced of your ability. but not ego, right? You're not gonna. There's not gonna be that cocky attitude, I guess, when it comes to success. It'll be more convinced. And when I see you, I see that you're totally convinced of your ability, and we are all around you. And I'm gonna name a controversial character that's out there, but this person has a lot of creativity, and internally within our Sky Diamond ecosystem, we were like, man, Andrew has this kind of like Kanye ability.
Yeah,
I know.
good.
But a Kanye ability creatively, because he's creative as fuck, right? To come up with these kind of, really awesome concepts. And not just at the high level. The secondary, tertiary, go-to-market strategy when it comes to all of that shit.
Right.
That's talent. And
so I got to do that again.
Is that talent or is that learned?
That's learned.
That's learned?
That's learned.
No way.
Yeah. It's intuition. And like, I know how to,
So there's hope for all the people that are like, hey, I want to be working on a brand. I want to build brand.
Yeah. There's a way to do it and a way not to do it. Like there's people that are really good at it that you should be copying or that you should be looking up to. You should be paving your own way.
Got it.
You know what I mean? And that, that was kind of like the benchmark of how we grew. Like we were pioneers in fashion e-commerce.
Oh,
we were one of the
100%.
first. People don't understand. They think it's been around for 20 years. I'm like,
no.
10 years ago, you couldn't buy a luxury brand online.
No way. You were one of the pioneers of DTC. I would tell you, I'm like, dude, you predated Tufted Needle, like who was our first mattress in a box company. The first fucking company to put a mattress in a box and market it before Casper, Ghostbed, all these guys. Right. It was Tufted Needle. They took a chapter out of your book. I would use the Naked Cashmere example with them. Hey guys, listen, these guys are doing cashmere direct to consumer.
So that's what people don't understand is
you're putting a fucking mattress in a box. That's super unique.
People don't understand how new DTC is. They don't. They think it's been around for 20 years. I'm like, it's not been around for 20 years. Like 10 years ago, you were not buying clothes online.
No.
You were selling clothes in stores, and maybe you were shopping those stores online, but there was no direct to consumer. But like things have changed. And now everyone has gone direct to consumer. Now you can't launch a brand direct to consumer. You have to have an online presence, but you can't build a profitable brand direct to consumer.
So can we talk about your mentorship real quick that you gave Angie Pruder? She's just really special to us and to me.
Absolutely.
You have created one of the most valuable talent assets for our agency. And when I say created, I mean mentored and led and gave directive to. And I talk a lot about our talent collective. And she has become such an integral, amazing piece of that. Another part of what you do really great is identify talent. Like what was that? Like how did you do that?
Mentioning that because it's something that like I take a lot of passion in and I'm proud of. I'm able to I'm a good delegator. Like I'm really good at identifying the talent in people and like uncovering, like making them passionate about it and finding like their way. All of our employees, a big majority of them started off, including Angie, as interns. Or entry-level jobs. And, we had the fastest growth rate in terms of people. Like, Angie became a VP of our company within 5 years of working there. And she started the company. She started when she was 19 years old. So by 24 years old, she's making six figures an executive of the company.
I was blown away from her then. I know her from when you were grooming her to where she is today. What you did and the way you helped kind of
so I'm exploiting their talent
out was
I'm exploiting
bananas.
People's talent in people and making them like passionate about it. And I'll use there was a girl named Taylor that worked for us that was great, that came in as a graphic designer, and told her that try email marketing.
Yeah,
like go learn how to use these softwares and technologies to build marketing channels and funnels, et cetera.
Yeah.
She fell in love with it and grew with it.
What was your favorite part of building this business? Was it the mentorship? Was it the brand building? Was it the creativity? What
I-
really, I mean, from an outside perspective looking in, you were having so much fun in different areas of this business. Obviously, there's
Well, that
pain.
that took a long term to find. Like, I didn't start out having fun.
Right. I mean, I think
started
you told
out.
us
It took
that,
me 5 years.
You were with Kate Moss and Peter
No,
Lindbergh
it
at the
took me-
bottom of the
yeah.
volcano.
No, it took me a long time to find my lane in where I wanted to build this business and excel. And, I did that with marketing and branding. And it was really, and I dabbled into it because, I wanted something, when I didn't want to do sales or, account management. Like, I wanted to be the face of the brand, and I wanted attention from, cool people in New York, and what could I do to get that attention?
The funny part about that is you wanted attention, but you became the cool guy that got all the attention. I mean, you were the cool person that I think they were looking forward to hanging out with you,
right?
Versus the other way around.
It's like I wanted cool, I was pushing the designers to make cooler stuff. Like, I didn't want sweaters for old ladies.
But
I wanted to gift sweaters to hot girls and models, so I can court them.
But I just want to identify there's humility in what you're saying in terms of people wanted to hang. People still want to hang, dude. Your brain. I mean, so for everyone listening, we went out a couple nights ago, and I took you, and we enjoyed some nightlife. And one of your friends here in Austin, she said it really well. Like, Andrew, your brain, the way it operates, we don't understand. You'll go silent and just zone out into a thought, and it's so fucking random. And you'll look up and you'll just spew genius, and then it's over. It's as though
I've got great ideas.
It's like a surf wave, right?
Yeah.
That shit. You're waiting. You're waiting for the best wave, and then you look over, you see Andrew. He's like, oh shit, there's a wave brewing in that guy.
It's a lot more than having great ideas. You have to understand how to execute and having the right team.
I'm specifically referencing Naked.
That's where Angie came in.
Yes. But that was one of your great ideas,
right? But Angie was a big part of the team, and the reason why we were able to work together is because we just our brains were just linked. She was the right side of my brain that turned my ideas and my intuitions into measurable projects that we could build and scale. And but building a team was really I love doing it. It's hard to find good talent, but once you do, it's really easy.
It's the hardest.
For me, it was really easy to keep them happy and motivate them and make them grow. And I guess you see a lot of companies that can't do that. I'm like, retards.
One thing I want to mention too is that from inception to exit was how long? 6 years?
I mean, for Naked Cashmere, but the whole business. I mean, it was a whole business. That was 12 years.
For Naked particularly was what?
It was 6 years.
It was 6 years.
But the whole business was 12 years.
Correct.
Naked was just a subsidiary. It wasn't a separate business.
Of course. But it was the DTC arm of the whole business.
Right.
Yeah. I guess the point I'm trying to relay here to those listening is it is possible with the right team, the right brand, to launch something in luxury and have a successful outcome in terms of an exit if you execute it correctly.
Yeah, of course.
There's hope.
You just got to make the right turns. And, we were lucky. And we're not the only ones. A lot of companies make big and a lot bigger turns than us.
Right.
There are a lot of great brands that are out there that are doing really well and growing rapidly.
So is it critical to have fun?
Yes. Must have fun.
What was the most fun?
You're having fun when you're working 24/7, 7 days a week, and taking calls where you're there's no time clock on, what you're doing. You're just living your life and having fun, but also doing, building a brand and building a business. That was fun for me. I never shut off, and I'm not going to hear I worked, 80 hours a week, or, I was working nonstop. It's we were working nonstop. We were having fun.
But
you can't lie. I was taking calls at Cipriani's.
That is true. I witnessed this.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
But everybody else in your ecosystem had a lot of fun too. And I think they have, I think a unique part about leadership is that if you are not having fun, that energy cascades down to your entire team.
Yeah, it does.
And they'll stop having fun, and then they'll fucking be like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
We're not having fun. We're not doing anything special. This is dumb.
Yeah. You have to check a lot of boxes and provide what's important to the people that are working for you. So if money is important to an employee, you've got to roadmap her way to a place where she wants to be.
Yeah.
She wants to double her salary. Okay, well, let's build out a roadmap. This is what you're going to have to do,
right,
and get to a place where you're doubling your salary. If you want to be having, and really just kind of like building the roadmap for everyone's needs. And that's what I really did. At the end of the day, people it really just comes down to road mapping and building, a place where people can have fun and build their career and make money and get free product.
Yeah. Would you say that, working with family has its pros and cons?
Oh yeah.
Would you say, looking back and reflecting, and I mean, there are going to be big events that happen, right? The sale of your company, the launch of your company, everything in between. Is it easier or harder to be successful in a family business environment?
I don't have that much experience in success with not a family business environment, but there's the hardest thing is that there's gray area. And there's no boundaries. Our life was all live work.
Yeah.
Once we took out the work, we didn't really have anything in common anymore, which was kind of sad. There's obviously some things that I can't really talk about on here.
Obviously.
That, have, tarnished the relationship that I have with my family.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's obviously.
Tarnish is heavy-handed, I think.
Yeah, tarnish. But,
there's some challenges.
There are challenges.
Yeah.
But there's challenges from every aspect of it.
Yeah.
On both spectrums,
But I think, I look at it again.
But the biggest thing is that, when you're working, is that, you really get a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And that's what everything becomes built on, which in turn really helps the brand.
I was just about to go there.
Because if I believe in something, I can say some stuff that I would not be able to say.
1,000%. That is, oh my God. But don't you believe, so here's the thing. Where I was going with this, and you're an insane proof of concept of this, is I've been in the room when the battles ensued. And I'm telling you, with your friends and professional colleagues, the impassioned arguments that you guys would have to get to something fucking amazing, was necessary. It's harder to operate, right, in a very PC controlled whatever, in a environment where you're trying to create a creative brand and do what you're trying to do. And because honestly, I would, if it was, just a hire of mine that I was talking to my seat, I would watch my tongue, be politically correct, frame. I mean, your shit, that honest conversation, man, was necessary to, I think, propel the success of this thing so quickly.
Yeah, of course. And it also
because there was no bullshit on any side.
Right. And also if I really believed in something, I would fight to the death.
Yes. And the communicate, I think I think ingrained in all of you.
Yeah. So, but that's how I run. I work on emotion. I'm not working.
Yeah. And I'm so happy you said that. I say that all the time. This business is emotional. Our relationships with your companies like you is emotional. I mean, you're giving us the keys to your fucking kingdom. So this is our baby. This is our brand. Habib, do something with it. And I talked about this on
let's flip the switch. Let's talk about how much Habib and Sky Diamonds helped us.
Oh, geez.
But
I'm terrible at flattery. But go ahead.
But I mean,
please go ahead.
But yeah. Why I think performance marketing and having a partner, that understands the digital ecosystem is that you're able to design your future, right? On key performing indicators. So if you have a business and you want to grow at 20% year over year, that's great.
Yeah.
And that's where you bring in someone like Sky Diamond to construct the digital ecosystem that will get you to there. And it's no good. It's like, this is what you're going to have to invest in. These are the channels you're going to have to invest in. This is where, your ROI needs to be at this. We need to drive this amount of traffic to the site with this amount of conversion. If this conversion lowers, we need this amount of money to do that. So, having someone like Sky Diamond, you're able to architect the future of the business, which I think is super important.
Yeah. Yeah. And, having someone like, yes, we've created a great company, great ecosystem of really talented people. But I will say one thing I learned from you guys is don't work with shitty people. Don't work with shitty brands, because our work is only as effective as the talent on the other side.
Right.
If you're putting out crap product at a shit price point with, bad strategy, I can't do my job.
Right.
And if there's a finger that ever needs to be pointed, and for people that are listening, this is a 10-year relationship, I think, right?
About
or 8 or something crazy. 8, 10, where we were with Andrew and the Gifford family from the inception. And I talk about the room, right? That loft in New York, that when this was just an idea, Naked was an idea. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, what we do is high-end performance marketing for brands that understand who the fuck they are and understand like their audience. And another reason why your catalog drop was so successful, and I know of brands that haven't had the kind of success that you have, they don't know their customer. You guys understood your customer.
Well, our customer was an easy customer to understand. So then that's where...
What does that mean?
It's like a lot of people think their customers are stupid, okay? And I'm going to use it like... If you look at it through explaining it to like a 5-year-old, if you're making hiking boots, you're selling to hikers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not... And a lot of people will granularly look at the data and be like, we don't know who our customer is. I'm like, yes, you do. It's like your customer is not basketball players.
Right.
It's not lacrosse players.
Right.
It's hikers.
Right.
Making hiking boots.
Right.
If
Makes sense.
And that's, something that, I really believed in. And, when it came down to who our customer was, it was very easy. It was a woman who was shopping for cashmere sweaters.
Yeah.
And they were shopping at Bloomingdale's and Net-a-Porter, and they were easy I
mean, there's seasonality there too.
There's a lot of seasonality.
It's cashmere.
Yeah. I don't like seasonality.
Not fun.
I hate seasonality.
But you understood it. And you made it. But I will say, you started it started becoming this thing where cashmere was less utility and more fashion first, where it was cool to wear cashmere as a all-season thing.
Right. But let me go into also another thing that will tie into what Sky Diamond did. Was, okay, if you're a seasonal brand, you need to understand when you're acquiring customers and when you're retaining customers.
Yes.
And that's super important, and that, a wise allocation of your dollars.
Yes.
You want to be...
you don't want to be burning through cash during the season.
Yeah, I don't want to be looking for people.
We're working on conversion.
No one's looking for cashmere sweaters in fall.
Yes.
I mean, in spring. They're looking for them in fall.
100%.
So I want to bring them in fall, and then in spring, what can I do to retain them?
Who's your favorite brand and why?
This is okay. I have a couple.
All right. Number 1. Give me your top 2.
Montclair.
I think I know why, but okay.
I love different brands for different reasons.
Montclair's story is insane.
Montclair has a phenomenal story and a resurgence. They make a great product that's not too expensive. It's expensive, but it's not too expensive.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, but it's not too. It's luxury.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, they are an outerwear company that is not seasonal. If you go to Rodeo Drive or in Soho or, in Avenue Montaigne in Paris, the lines are out the door in the middle of July. And that's something that kind of you have to respect. And they also have their finger on the pulse. They're investing in acquiring brands through a younger lens. His son, and the son is working for the company and is working on their acquisitions.
So, going to that, I've never, I don't go to a Montclair store every month, but when I have though every other month. And when I walk in, the stuff is always different. Always different.
So Montclair is actually my favorite merchandiser of all.
What is that?
So I'll explain it to you. So now, back in the day, brands would sell product based on a fashion calendar of fall, spring, and holiday. And they would make 3 collections a year, and they would sell 3 collections to stores. And as time gone on, and people started, now, and more stores started to open, and they had to introduce more categories. Now you have to keep people's attention. You can't come out with a collection in September and then not come out with anything until January. Like, what vignettes or categories in that collection can you take to market so that customer isn't getting one jacket from the fall collection, she's getting one jacket from every category. And I think that's really important. And Montclair's done a really good job at doing that.
And that's why.
But also, let me finish, is that, the more categories or collections that you develop, the more stories you can tell, the more content you can produce, the more, honed in your customer is.
Got it. When you're looking at going back to brand, do people and what I love about you, you're a no bullshit guy.
No, but I'll give you a couple others, and you'll like the next one.
Okay.
And they're the definition of attaining luxury is, a brand like Ferrari.
Yes.
It has.
I do like that.
He does like that.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom,
Let's
vroom.
go.
But it's a brand that has an amazing product, a great heritage and story, and has built this somewhat of a program that other.
It's a mafia, man.
But yes, but it's built a business based off of relationships that other brands, community, and other brands try and replicate. And some have done well, and some can't do it. A lot of luxury watch companies have followed the same pursuit, like Rolex and Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe. You can't walk into a store and just buy a Daytona or a Royal Oak, or you can't go into a Ferrari dealership and buy a
anything
new F8 Tributo.
Can't do it.
So I think they've done a good job at
scarcity and community and all of that.
Right. But that's not artificial scarcity. That's actual scarcity.
That's actual scarcity. No, and the reason I said you're no bullshit guy is I love asking you real questions that people think about but never get like an answer to. And this thing about, 3 things: politics, sustainability, and so actually politics.
I could talk about sustainability.
Politics, sustainability, and this concept of story. Like, a brand should have story. They should stand for something. How real are all of these realities, or how real do these realities have to be for a brand? Meaning, does a brand have to take a political stance? Does a brand have to be, have some element of sustainability? Does a brand have to have a story?
All right, so I'm going to get very opinionated here.
Please, this is why I'm asking you.
So let's
no
start with
bullshit.
sustainability.
All right.
I have pretty strong beliefs about
Bullshit
sustainability.
concept or non-bullshit concept?
It meets in the middle. I think what a lot of people are doing is greenwashing, and
Greenwashing.
so it's which is the concept of making content that's irrelevant to seem as if they're sustainable.
So feel good bullshit content.
Right. So you can have a company talking about how organic their cotton is. I'm like, dude, all organic. All cotton is organic. Like the fact of the matter is,
there's no GMO cotton.
Let's talk about, my beliefs on sustainability is that, if you really want to be a sustainable company, and then be a sustainable company, don't make products. Resell products.
Ooh.
Which is, fashion is not
it's
sustainable.
A new reality. Yes.
The only way that
brands like Redone.
Right. But taking other things and remaking them into something else, that's sustainable. But once you're making product and putting more,
that shit's out the door.
It's out the door, and it shouldn't hold any weight.
Interesting.
That being said,
yes, controversial. I'm actually not allowed to comment on that.
Yeah. But that being said, I think it's important that that brands do participate in that conversation.
Yeah.
But doing it in the right way, and not just for the fear of getting written up of not being sustainable. We did, I used to own a retail company called Naked Retail.
Yes.
And one of the stores that we built these editorial
super cool store.
We would come up with these editorial themes every 3 months and then rebuild the store around those themes and invite like-minded brands of those themes into the store. Mm-hmm. One of those concepts was a sum of all parts, and that it was in a sustainability concept. And the goal of would be we would pick brands that were doing something sustainable. Could be anything, but they were doing one thing that we liked that was sustainable for the environment.
Right. Using recycled water, whatever
it was. But we highlighted that story. And then we brought other brands in and highlighted their stories in hopes that they would communicate with each other and maybe, hey, I'm using this.
Did it work?
It did work.
Okay, cool.
But that's where it's this collective belief of coming together. Like, oh, we're doing this. This brand's got a great packaging supplier with biodegradable, packaging. Like, let's do that. So, that was cool to me because it was creating action.
Yeah.
And brands that get forced into the corner, like during the sustainability craze, like we had to come up with a sustainability line and came out with a line called recycled cashmere, which was we would recycle the yarns of old sweaters but it didn't make any sense. The garments were more expensive to make and they were worse for the environment, but they fit the need of the conversation because we're using old sweaters.
But you're saying it is important to lean into the conversations of now because people do actually give a shit about the story of the brand,
right?
Whether it's sustainability or politics or whatever.
Authentic way, be transparent.
Do consumers care more about these stories if it's DTC versus I'm going in Neiman Marcus and buying Balmain?
I don't care about. Other people might, but I don't care about. I like seeing the trend.
But trend.
Yeah, I know. But I like seeing brands that are being transparent. But like, I'm not really like going into Louis Vuitton's website and seeing how their bags are made.
But a new brand. But when you're doing discovery, do you give a shit?
I don't. Might cause some controversy. A lot of people do, but I don't. Unless, actions speak louder than words. But I will notice what brands are doing and support those brands if they're.
So you were never a kombucha drinker of my kombucha.
No, but like if you're a Brazilian brand and are partnering with the rainforest and planting the trees, and I applaud and will participate in those programs. But I really think it's just like actions speak louder than words.
So what, in your opinion, now moving into...
And everyone's going to agree with me, but that's just me.
No, but no, this is good. Because what I'm trying to unpack here is that story is a huge part of brand. What story is the most important story to tell when you're creating a luxury brand?
I mean, well, you have to smoke and mirror it, because a real luxury brand isn't a new brand. Luxury brands have heritage, they have history, they have legacy.
So what do you call it then? So what would you, I mean, if you were to coin a new, what is it? What was Naked Cashmere? I felt like, because of the elevated, and this is my perspective, right? And
I was like, what could I take from these companies and plug into this brand to make it luxury?
Give me a moment. Like, just touching the performance marketing, seeing the data, seeing that your average order values are so fucking high, all these things, it was luxury from the sense that Kate Moss set the ceiling, and then it just attracted this plethora of the hottest models, the coolest people, the greatest photographers.
Right. So I was doing...
It was a treasure trove of like... Just
I was
insanity.
doing what brands did.
Isn't that luxury though?
Yes, it is. Luxury advertising. I was doing what these brands were doing and creating them, except for the Kate Moss shoot, at a much lesser budget. And that was, content and campaign strategy, content and campaign development, the technology, making sure that, our digital ecosystem provided the most luxury experience for our customers. Our platform was updated. Our checkout experience was seamless. Our return, it just, all of those things, I made it very, if I wanted a person to come to my site and be like, oh, this is like shopping at Net-a-Porter. But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to, the strategy and the campaigns and the branding and the technology partners and your tech stack and just creating like a good experience for your customers.
Going through the whole naked business and that process, were there moments where you just were with yourself, by yourself, and were you just like kind of pinching yourself of like, oh my God, this is going really fast. This is happening. This shit. And like, I have a lot of responsibility. And like, it's important for me as I start doing more of these things I
dealt with growing pains.
The entrepreneurs and the listeners to kind of understand, like, there's so much success that you see outwardly, but what were those moments like that you're, by yourself and you're like, oh my God, I just launched, or we just launched, or I'm in charge of one of the first DTC, like, elevated apparel brands.
Yeah. No, it was like really exciting. But like I said before, like it was like, I thought I was on the top of the mountain when we turned on the switch, and I realized like I was at the bottom.
So you were having a reality.
I had a reality check. Do you remember when we were launching and the amount of money we were spending on search?
Yeah.
And we didn't, like, our conversion rate was so low.
a month or 200.
And there was there were so many men coming to the site.
Yeah. A lot of crazy shit, buying gifts and shit. We
didn't realize, because we just decided to own the word naked too.
Own the word cashmere and naked.
Yeah. So everyone's searching for,
we did some funny stuff.
Yeah, but it was a great name, but it was definitely hard to.
I mean, the naked was, Jacob was mad.
Yeah. So, it was tough.
He's like, guys, porn?
Well, that's the people that we brought to the site.
Yeah.
All right. So, now, I want to get back into like the next thing. And obviously there's a lot of recruitment happening, people wanting to work with me and me wanting to work with people. And, obviously you have to build a company in today's market is a lot different than building a company in the market from 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
100%. It's way more expensive.
Let's talk about a good topic.
Okay.
Celebrity partnerships.
Okay. Do they suck?
Or are they amazing?
Or do they suck? I think they're amazing.
I think that it depends on. And I think there's so many different cases.
You know why I said do they suck? And here's the thing. You know how many? This is okay. I'm gonna get okay. I got to control my emotion. If you have over 300,000 followers, people think they're celebrities.
Right.
So can we define celebrity partnership to lower my temperature?
Sure. I mean, okay, I will. Take out the followers.
All right.
And that's the biggest, the biggest argument I've had with people.
Same.
Trying to talk about celebrity partnerships.
It's upsetting, man.
Is
Because
they base their argument or their proposition on their followers.
So what is a celebrity today?
So, but I'm going to use this as an example. And there are a lot of companies that have failed based off of building a business around the following, and when in fact that regardless if it's authentic or being able to use their likeness or their usage, you're not like, you can't base, you're not going to sell something to their followers unless you're making content with them. Ooh. Their followers like content.
You love controversy, don't you?
Yeah.
There are so many brands doing this right now.
But I'm saying but they're looking at it from a following perspective. And but like a good thing, for instance, okay, I'll give you a good example of one that is great and one that sucks.
Okay.
Which one do you want first?
Sucks.
Beyonce for Adidas, Ivy Park. Flopped. Why did it flop?
No, yes.
First of all, Beyonce is not relevant. Can't put that on mine either.
No. We're fucking putting that on.
No.
We're putting that on there.
No. But Beyonce is not relevant, right? She's not in the news every day. She's not going to places where she's being seen. She's not making content. She doesn't have different verticals. She's a biggest singer of the world.
Right.
She's a singer, and she's married to Jay-Z, and she's got this army of
She can't sell hats like Donald Trump sells hats.
No, or look at someone that's amazing. Kim Kardashian.
Okay. You're talking about a monetary brand machine versus Beyonce.
Well,
but they're both celebrity.
They are both major celebrities.
They're both celebrity.
One that's
so you're saying celebrity selection, curating your celebrity is super important.
No, I'm talking about celebrity like brands, not just partnerships, but
celebrity-backed brands.
Yeah,
okay.
Because there's so many of them. You walk into a Sephora.
Treacherous amount.
You go into Sephora, it's like you're not buying a brand that doesn't have a famous face on it. You look at alcohol brands, every single alcohol brand. You're
going to be the judge. We'll do a little quiz. The Rock. He is a brand. He's a celebrity.
Yes.
It can actually move shit.
Of course.
Okay. Why?
Okay. He is doing stuff that is authentic to him. Whether it's his energy drink which is called that has
he does a tequila, he does the energy drink, he does a lot of shit.
He does a lot of stuff, but people love him. No one has a bad thing to say about him.
Okay. There's a lot of bad shit to say about Kim.
Really? What?
Her sex tape.
That's a bad thing.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
But
there's not much.
But The Rock is he can sell stuff. He's in all these movies. Everybody loves him. He's on TV shows. He's relevant. He's always being talked about. He's always in front of the camera. He's got the most followers on Instagram, etc. So he's being plugged, he's plugging your product or his product into all of his channels of content, and that's the same thing that Kim does.
So you and I were watching that thing together, McGregor thing, right? That Proper 12. Remember, I was making jokes about that today.
Right?
Is that he's a celebrity?
Of course, a good one. Good. I mean, but someone it's authentic to him. It's in Ireland. He's an Irish. He's whiskey,
and he's a character.
He's a character. He's likable.
Creates
controversy.
Yeah.
He can plug it in anywhere. So, you just have to pick ones that
There's commonality here that creates controversy too, except for The Rock.
Right.
I mean,
they come down to this.
Donald's a brand? Forget his bullshit. He's a brand.
Of course. He's the best brand. That's how he got to office.
He moves so much merch.
Yeah, and product. Yeah, of course.
He's like king of merch moving.
I mean, it's just, you got to pick someone that's authentic. And I like to watch celebrity brands that are authentic to them. And I like to see the ones that aren't authentic fail.
This is a lot of fun, man.
It was good.
It was good. Did you enjoy your Terry Blacks when you're out here? I
did.
You like Austin?
City. Yeah.
I think
I don't like LA, but I like cities where people are moving to.
Yeah. I think LA stood for something different. And when you have the level of crime that's there today, and, it's clouded by a lot of more bullshit people.
There's no culture there.
There's no culture.
No one travels. It's far from Europe. Like, it's becoming irrelevant.
Aspen's relevant. Austin's relevant. Miami's relevant. Culturally, right? Wouldn't you say?
I wouldn't say Aspen's like a special place. Like,
but you talk about luxury.
But yes, definitely a luxury destination. But Milan, London, Paris,
internationally, yes.
Internationally. But yeah, I mean, Austin's a great city. It's really cool. There are a lot of cool people doing cool things here.
For the record, for the podcast, are you eligible bachelor? Or are you single?
I am.
Very single? This is for the ladies,
Very single.
Putting the plug
single.
out. Bro, putting the plug out.
That. Yes.
That's good. That's good.
I may come back with a Colombian girlfriend.
Oh,
and a family in 6 months.
That's
but who
not
knows?
a girlfriend. That's a fucking wife.
Yeah. Yeah, but.
Oh, man. No, super fun. I enjoyed the shit out of this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. This
really
could be
special.
the future of. This is a good conversation.
Super special.
Maybe the launch of a new.
Well, for me, it's like interviewing one of the first opportunities into luxury performance marketing fashion that we ever had. Thanks to like Kevin Small for introducing us.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. And thank you for taking.
Well, I have some questions too. I want to give you
please.
a chance to speak on Sky Diamond's success and what you've been able to accomplish for brands and pick up those, low-hanging fruit that they didn't know existed.
Yeah.
When is the right time for someone to come to Sky Diamond?
The right time to come to Sky is when you understand your brand. I mean, there's never like this perfect like math of, oh my God, we know exactly who we are. But it's like, we know enough of our brand to be dangerous. And honestly, it comes down to numbers. Like if you're doing a few $1 million, $2 to $3 million, you got a following. You got people that like your shit, And at that point, it's a conversation starter of, hey, Habib, we got a couple $1 million of sales. We understand who our audience is. We know who's buying from us. We have data. And that's really when, I've always said this, we're a steroid injector, right? We're hey, you're at $3 million in revenue. Okay, let me look at your conversion. Let me look at brand and see what parts of brand can we optimize. We're the revenue amplifiers. We're the brand optimizers, right? Of like, hey, even with your shoots, like I would look at this and be like, we just ran some heat mapping on the site, and the hero image we were A/B testing it. When she's looking to the right corner towards that category, converts better. That's not a knock on the brand. That's optimization, right? And when you're talking about like quiet luxury, like the Laura Pianas and the Hermes isn't really quiet, but the Sal Ferragamo, they can benefit from aligning with a performance marketing agency that gets the world of fashion, luxury, because we optimize discreetly too. So the right time, going back to your question, is like when you understand who you are, who your audience potentially is.
And how fast you want to grow.
And do you want to be, I say this a lot, are we playing an EBITDA game? Are we playing a revenue game? What's the goal? Right.
And you should optimize your budget around that.
Yeah. Your dad would always be like EBITDA first. He was like very EBITDA first. So we kind of held the line at this like 3.5, 4 ROAS.
Right.
And honestly, if we wanted to turn the revenue keys, right? Got those 2 keys in that Bugatti, bam. Mm-hmm. You're talking about triple the growth revenue-wise. And there was a lot of outlining that for him where, I think he saw that growth opportunity for that next buyer or the future of this thing. If done correctly, you can turn both keys on and really just turn the demand capture dial.
Right.
Capture more of our audience because there are more of them out there. Don't go after anybody new. This isn't demand generation. You're just doing more of demand capture. People know us. They need to buy more. And the people that aren't buying, that are mid-funnel, that should buy, there's a little tweaking here and there, and they'll start buying. But we've done a lot of great things for brands like Privé Revaux. A lot of them are NDA'd, but I'm doing a interview in a few weeks of a major, athletic shoe company CEO. She has done amazing things with her brand and great Formula One partnerships, and taking that and again turning the right dials to say we don't need new, we need more of our existing client who has affinity for us. Yeah, man. I think Sky is a really special business. We're in a little bit of a niche, and I like it. I love it. You always say I'm on brand, and that's because I get the world.
Right.
And I get to sit with people like you, understand what you're saying, understand your pains, be empathetic towards that, and like design things that are going to matter to you, and talk about performance marketing in a way that you can understand.
Right.
And I think that's something that, you go to a Mute 6 or a Common Thread Collective or a W Promote or all these things,
You'll get handed off by like a remote employee. That
no one gives a shit, and they don't care about your story first. They don't care about the brand. Brand is number one. Agencies continue to fuck up there. It's like, no. Brand is number one. Performance marketing isn't number one. No one gives a fuck about paid search, paid social, as any of these things, because it's not in relation to brand. So.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, should we wrap?
That's a wrap, baby.
That's a wrap.